rolling in it.
Not rolling in it right now.
Don't roll, 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 don't roll. Refill your coffee, dude. Let's do this. Hey, everybody. While Matt B. Davis is refilling his coffee, I just wanted to tell you a quick story. A long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there was this guy. His name, Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, Qui-Gon Jinn is a member of the Jedi Order. He is a master in the Jedi, and he has a pupil named Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, as Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are living their lives and going about their Jedi business and apprentice business, they happen to stumble upon a young slave child on the desert planet of Tatooine named Anakin Skywalker. Anakin is a small child who happens to be the One, and within him lies the power to balance the Force.
Were you just giving people the entire story of Star Wars?
Yes.
That's amazing. Did you hear about that CrossFit HQ actually released a new single? Have you heard about it?
No, tell me. Break the news to me.
Frown and frown and frown and frown and frown and frown and frown. Have you heard that?
I haven't. That's really good, though. That's really clever. That's really clever.
All right, Armen, I'm going to go ahead and call you my best COVID friend. There, I said it.
Oh, my God. Wow. That means a lot to me.
The person I'm most forward looking to talking to during COVID. You can do with anything.
My corona.
So on the last program, or two programs ago, Armen somehow snuck in there the phrase F1 Drive to Survive.
Uh-huh.
And if I was a really good podcaster, I'd go find that clip, but I won't. And I was like, what's that? And you were like, you have to check it out. I have since binged both seasons on Netflix. Armen Hammer, why do we love this show so much?
Man, that is a great question. First of all, I just want to start off by saying you're welcome, because I feel like I added a lot to your life by giving you Drive to Survive.
Can you answer the question first?
Why is it that we find that show so entertaining? Why is
What
it
do we
so
love
good?
about that show, Armen?
What do we love about it? Well, first of all, race cars go vroom, vroom very, very fast. So that is super dope, right? We're starting with a very, very cool, cutting edge, best of the best, exciting sport. On top of that, it just so happens that the sport is full of these really crazy characters that honestly would seem out of place in like the most kitsch B movie like that you could think of. Like the head of Red Bull Racing, Christian, is basically a Bond villain. And they really lean into his Bond villainness in the second season, where he's like flying his personal helicopter to and from his giant manor to the racetracks. Like, it's amazing.
Can we put a pin in Christian? Because we'll put a pin in him. Let's talk about other things we love about the show.
Yeah. So it's like the characters are awesome. The sport itself is really, really exciting to watch. And on top of that, it's like Chef's Table level production. You remember when Chef's Table first came out, you're like, I've never seen something so beautiful before. This is amazing. It's like that, but for Formula One.
Yeah, I'm going to agree on all those points. And if you're watching Netflix lately or other shows lately, a lot of people have tried this Hard Knocks HBO 24/7 model of let's attack this and introduce you to this world. So I tried one about cricket. I think I made it a few seasons into it, or a few episodes into it. There's one about some soccer teams I tried. didn't quite work for me. This one, first of all, Matt, I don't know anything about this sport. Even more reason to watch it. I didn't
Who's
fucking know
Matt?
anything about this sport.
Did you
Who's
just call
Matt?
me Matt?
I'm saying someone's listening to this going, I don't know anything about the sport. That's the beauty
Oh,
of it,
okay.
is that you are at once introduced to the sport, how it works, the characters, and as the story goes on, you then, this is how I look at it. I was so into it that if there's a meme of watches, F1 Drive to Survive once, I'm that guy
Yeah.
where like I'm now an expert on Formula One. The way here's how I explain it. You ever played craps?
Once or twice.
Okay. Craps is an amazing game in Vegas or anywhere. The biggest reason, or if it's not the biggest reason, one of the biggest reasons is it is not uh it is not player versus player. It is all of us against the house. So there's those big yay that comes because we all win and or lose together, and it's great. Even more so than blackjack, where we beat the dealer. This one's there's so many more things that can happen. So I don't know how to play craps. I go to Vegas with my friend. He explains it to me about 5 minutes. Within an hour, I am now explaining it to the people that come to the table that don't know how to play craps. And then within another hour, they are explaining it. And it's awesome. It's to watch that thing happen. Like it
Right.
happens every time. You see somebody
Drive
that's
to
like,
Survive is the gambling addiction of sports documentaries.
yeah. So like I can't wait for racing to return because like I think I'm going to start betting. I told you, I go, they race in Austin. I'm coming. Armen, I'm staying at your house. We're getting fucking media passes.
Please.
I don't think that they're going to be that hard to get, especially in America, because no one knows this sport.
You're wrong. I don't know
Really?
about the media passes, but there were hundreds of thousands of people at the race when I was there last year.
Right. But I'm
It's
saying
jammed,
getting a
dude.
media pass to the NFL. Well, I actually did end up getting Super Bowl passes. I don't know if I've mentioned that before.
You have mentioned it
And
once or twice every episode we've done
right.
together.
I just feel like, hey, I'm a local Austin guy. Can I get a pass? And I think you'll be able to get one because that's part of it is that we get to watch sort of their press conferences. So you learn very quickly that there are 10 teams, 2 drivers each, and that's it. So that's less than NBA. That's less than any sport. If you make it to that top notch, you are one of a very small amount. So even if you are in P19, right? Even if you are the bottom of the barrel, you're still pretty fucking good at this driving thing, man.
Yeah. Pretty fucking good is an understatement, but yeah.
And what I like about it is we don't even meet the guy who's the best at it till like the end of the first season. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
by the way,
correct.
here's the guy who's been winning while you guys have been bickering and bitching. And I think that's a
Actually,
great way to do it.
I agree with you 100%. I think the fact that they did not focus on Hamilton is genius because what they did is they spend a lot of the season talking to Daniel Ricciardo, who's hilarious. He is such an interesting character, but it just so happens that storyline of Ricardo being on Red Bull, the Red Bull's relationship with Renault, Ricardo eventually moving over to Renault and trying to figure out make his own name at the
Spoiler
at the end.
alert.
Spoiler alert, whatever. So it's such an interesting storyline. They happen to also just focus on the guy who had like a really interesting storyline that connected to multiple teams and also is hilarious.
Yeah, they and you're not even aware of that, right? It was like somewhere at the end and you go, by the way, here's this 5-time champion who is, dare I say, model gorgeous, as most of them are.
Yes, they are all unbearably handsome.
And I think that's
and rich.
And that's the spectacle of the sport is that like you're in fucking Monaco, you're in these gorgeous, locations. But it's not like in an annoying, what do you call it? Kardashian way. It's kind of like you appreciate the sort of the spectacle and they're fucking all millionaires and this is amazing. And these dude, the fact that when they go to like, okay, it's kind of like the CrossFit Games on steroids. If the CrossFit Games was 21 times a year, and every time you go to a new city, your whole office is set up like it's like this. You bring your own town of your people to the fucking event.
I wouldn't even say it's like the CrossFit Games. It's like the Super Bowl 21
Yes.
times a year.
Yes.
It's like the Super Bowl 21 times a year. That is how logistically fucking challenging and massive each one of these goddamn races is.
Right. Because it's not just
crazy.
It's not just, oh, we're sticking a truck, we're sticking a car on a trailer, right? It's got to go by boat or however the fuck it goes across the world. They should probably maybe touch on that in season 3. Like, do they go on planes? How do they get the cars?
They talk about it, I think, in the first season. Isn't there an episode where they talk about the logistics? I can't remember.
Not how they get the fucking
this.
cars from Austin to Monaco to Australia.
Allow me to explain. So the season is set out. The race order is set out in order for them to be able to either drive or boat the races, the cars over. Each team has multiple sets of engines, and before the season even begins, they actually have to start the logistics of moving their the Singapore kit to Singapore, because it takes 3 months. So before the season starts, they have to send all of that stuff to Asia because it has to go via boat. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. It's one of the most gnarly, like, it makes no sense. If you were to try and pitch this as a sport, it makes zero sense that they'd be spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on each of these teams. And yet here we are. It's like one of the most popular sports in the world. It's the least accessible sport in the world, but it talks to something that every human being can immediately understand. Vroom, vroom, car, go fast.
Well, here's the other thing that they don't do that I think a lesser producer, production team would have done. You don't even see a big accident till I think the 4th or 5th episode. Like, they could just show accidents, which are in like the most brilliant slow-mo you've ever seen in your fucking life, this chef's table level of production. And you really don't, it's like you don't get that. They don't fucking blow their money shot. They're introducing you to the beauty of the sport, all these personalities. Another spoiler alert, Christian, absolutely my favorite. What do they call them? Director? What do they call they're like the head coach?
Yeah. It's like the team executive or something.
Yeah, the head coach. Like, you already think this guy is super badass. Then you find out in the 2nd season, he's married to a fucking Spice Girl. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's married to a Spice Girl. He lives on like this gorgeous estate. It's right. Like these people live fantasy lives. Right. Like Charles Leclerc. Leclerc's like, born in Monaco, like the heir apparent to Ferrari, just built to be the greatest driver of all time into the future once Lewis Hamilton retires. And it's like, oh, fuck, this little kid, he's like 20. He can't buy a beer legally in the States, but he drives 200 miles an hour around U-shaped corners. It's the most insane, like, trying to explain, you can't explain F1. Because you explain, it's like, yeah, it's just really fast car racing. It's the fastest, most challenging car racing in the world. And people will be like, okay, well, I mean, what's exciting about that? And until you see it and like experience it, there's this visceral understanding that can only be had when you actually see it or experience it.
Yeah, and there was just a race and I missed it, and I'm so bummed.
Yeah, like my brothers, here's the thing, I don't have TV. So I don't watch any of these races. The only race I've ever watched has been the one in person when I was there in Austin last year. And I watched another race when I happened to be in LA at the time. My brothers wanted to watch the race. So I was there for one of those races. Those are the only races I've ever watched actually happen. My only real experience with F1 is through Drive to Survive. And I am a huge advocate of this sport. I think it should absolutely get more eyeballs on it, just by how good Drive to Survive was.
Well, in the same way that soccer is bigger everywhere else in the world, I remember when I was 19 or 20 and a friend of mine telling me that Formula One drivers were rock stars. Like, oh, these guys are bigger than you could ever imagine in their home countries. And that's another beautiful element, is that it's a very international sport. So the drivers, the Mercedes guys are like very fucking German, right? And the French guy is very fucking French. And then so when they're at their quote unquote home race, it has a different vibe. And it's so insular. The fact that you've got the fact that it would be like if the New England Patriots somehow had their equipment made by the New York Jets, and so they had to rely on them in some way. That to me, that blew me away. Wait, you compete, and what's his name? Mercedes guy, the Mercedes head coach, he manages, the guys that are but I have stake in this kid, right? Or I have stake
Who's racing
in this,
for another team, exactly.
right? Or I have stake in this brand. I wonder if they've ever had the thought of baseball or football, we're well, let's expand, right? Because it's so fucking small. It's literally 10 teams.
Well, I think the way they do expansion is by Formula 2. So
right.
that's the feeder league, right? But
right.
The thing I think that makes it so exciting is the fact that it is so incredibly elite. It is just those 10 teams. It is just those 20 cars.
But how heartbreaking it is if you're fucking 19 years old, right? And you don't do well and they just bounce you. It's you're fucking 19 years old. All sports have this very young thing, but Daniel Ricciardo was the old guy at 26. You know what I mean?
He's over the hill, ready to be retired at 26.
Right, because they're well, they're bringing in these new guys, they're bringing in these new young guys, and I'm Daniel Ricciardo is a young man. He's 26 years old.
Yeah, it is really, really incredible. And when you get into the sport itself, sort of the structure of the sport, you start looking at those things that you mentioned. These really strange settings that would never really occur. It's in boxing, when you have a prize fight, your opponent's coach wraps your hands, right? It's like a way of leveling the playing field, making sure that no one is doing anything hazy. Everyone has to sign off on what happens. You make sure you have your opponent's best interests and they have your best interests. No one wants bullshit, right? In Formula One, it's the equivalent of that. The version of that is what you're describing, is that some of these teams, Red Bull, for example, doesn't develop their own technology. They just rely on the other car makers. So they have these giant deals with Renault to provide their engine. They have these giant deals with Honda to provide their engine. And it's those people are also racing against you. So you're using the same engine, you're using the same, heart of your team. And yet, it just so happens that Red Bull has a team that's 200 people more, 200 more engineers and mechanics than Renault does. And so they just have way better shit.
But what did we learn at the end of season 2? What did we learn, Armen?
I can't remember. I watched season 2 in March. I don't remember.
Armen Hammer now driving for Toro Rosso. That's my impression of you when you get in the league. You're going to be driving for Toro Rosso.
I'll drive for them. Sure, why not?
At the end of the season, we find out that this year, which has already started but now has COVID, they're putting in a cap.
Oh yeah, that's right. So there's a spending cap. That's right. So that's another thing. It's it's only now. Imagine now. It's 2020. And it's just now that they're adding a cap to what budget your team can have. That's something that's been in place in the NBA forever, and it just keeps going up. But in Formula One, it was the worst team was spending $100 million a year on their budget, and the best team was spending $600 million a year on the budget. And that's not just 6 times more money. That is a logarithmic scale. It is exponentially more effective to spend $600 million than $100 million.
Right. It's not like the difference between $5 and $10. You know what I mean? It's a pretty big gap. And it was so big that most of the teams, like their goal is fourth, like their goal is fifth, P5,
P5.
because 1 through 3.
Congratulations, you've qualified in P10. Oh!
Okay, here's my other
racing,
impression.
Lando. Great racing.
Here's my other impression of, it's not the head guy that's on the mic with them most of the time. It's like the offensive coordinator that's like on the mic with them, and
They get to pick.
And no matter what is going on, they are ridiculously calm, and it's fucking amazing. It's like, it appears you've lost your right wheel. We're going to retire the car. Please bring the car in. Right? Like,
that is such a great, because they're like on the Lando, we're gonna ask you to pit. Your vehicle's on fire. We're gonna ask you to pit.
Box, please. Box, please.
Box, please. And then the driver's like, fuck, shit, fuck.
Except most of them, English is their second language. So it's always like, he was a, shitty person to me, and fuck that guy. Yeah.
There is an infinite depth to each of the racers and their characters, and the stories are so good, and they do such a good job of presenting them in these like really, really recognizable moments. Like the first time you really get to meet Verstappen is in like the first season. You get to see him because he's Ricardo's racing partner, and then you start realizing like, all right, well, they really like Verstappen more than they like Ricardo. I wonder why. And then like you start seeing in season 2, you're like, oh fuck, like Verstappen has like this really weird personality and is like super goddamn intense, like really, really intense, even with his own goddamn partner, like almost coming into like fist fights with people. And it's really interesting that they're able to like highlight these moments where you immediately get who these people are, what drives them, and how to sort of like, I didn't know or care at all about these drivers. Like, who's that driver from Spain? And I was like, no, man. And no, like, you can do it. Stay on the team. I believe in you. Like, don't cut him. Why are you cutting him? And I was like, I'd never heard of you 10 hours ago. I did not know who you are. And I'm so invested in your career now.
I can't remember, but it was episode 1 or 2. I think it was when, how do you say it? Grosjean?
Yeah.
When those guys kept fucking up, and like, it broke your heart. And like, it's like literally episode 1 or 2. And you're like, oh, they fucking crashed again. Here's what I didn't understand. Maybe it doesn't matter, but it was again one of these early episodes, and the guy put on the tire wrong, and so they just quit. And I was like, well, why would you do that? Because it is this race of attrition where guys just crash, right? So you kind of never know. Like, why not just stay in the race, and you might end up getting bumped up a few spots, right?
I think there are decisions to be made based off of the global budget. So they have a very limited. The thing that is and has been controlled is the number of tires you get each season. So you only get an X amount of each tire.
Right.
And there are rules with like, the tire you use in your second qualifying lap has to be the tire you start with. Once you switch tires, you can't switch in one direction or another, whatever. I don't know what the rules are, but like, you have a very limited number of tires, and you have throughout the entire season, not per race.
Right.
So you have like the entire season's worth of tires, and you can sort of see it falling apart. So a mistake like that could end up being something that if they kept racing, they would run out of their allocated tires going into like the last race or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know the specifics, but
no, well, that makes sense because I couldn't understand why they did that unless it was, again, they kind of play with time a little bit, unless it's closer to the end of the race. Because if you don't finish 10th or higher, you don't get points. So maybe if you're at the bottom, you don't necessarily do it.
Right. And the last thing you want is something to happen to your car.
Right. But there's also like, I've always been curious on the rules in terms of, if you hit the fucking wall really hard, you're done. Like, that's a no brainer. But sometimes they don't hit the wall that hard. And it looks like, I don't know, they could just like, somehow like fucking Jimmy the tire and again, like keep racing because you never know. Because you can go, that's the beautiful thing too. Like you can go from second or third to out of the fucking race. And that's beautiful to watch. And again, the stakes are so high every time that, you know, you'll spend an hour of an episode with a guy and he literally gets nudged off the track in lap one, which I think is also a fascinating thing in sport, is, you know, how to approach that. Is that it's first of all, it makes NASCAR look dumb as shit. Like whatever you thought of NASCAR before, going around a circle, right?
There's nothing. NASCAR. These guys could do it asleep.
Right.
First of all, NASCAR's going slower, and basically just turning left.
Right. For 5 hours, right?
For 5 hours.
These guys, they only have 40 or 50 laps at most of these races.
Yep.
So imagine if you're behind in the first 8 laps, right? Like shit, I'm 20% through the race. So as soon as the gun goes off, there's wrecks because people are fucking jockeying.
Dude, you know what's even crazy? Like, here's another thing that really blows my mind about Formula One. As a sport to watch, it is so fucking exciting. And it makes, again, zero sense. Because you look at it, you're like, I should not be this interested in what's going on in this car race. This makes no sense. But just the broadcast is so well done. It's probably the single most, it's like, you know, everyone gives a shit about the finals of the 100-meter dash at the Olympics every time it comes up.
Right.
Because that's going to answer the question, who's the fastest man in the world or whatever, who's the fastest woman in the world. Right. And it's really obvious. The person who finishes first is the winner. And they do a great job of highlighting all the finalists. They do a great job of telling you each of their stories. And then there's Usain Bolt's in there and it's already over. But like, there's that sense of, you know exactly where everyone is at every point of the race. You know what the difference is between them and the car in front of them and 10 cars in front of them. You know the stakes and they do such a good job of presenting it. It's like the finals of the 100-meter dash every single race. It's crazy. The broadcast is like the best sports broadcast in the world.
And here's what I still quite kind of don't, my son is yelling, quite don't understand. Our buddy Max Verstappen, who is just a fucking monster, right? He just will fucking overtake everyone. And I'm not quite sure what the difference is between him and the 6th place guy that can't get around people, because like the cars are relatively like close and they all seem to have that killer instinct. There's one episode where one guy doesn't seem to quite have it, whatever. But it's like sometimes you just see him go, he fucking just goes around guys. There's a straightaway, he's going around you. And it's like, well, what is he doing? I don't understand enough of the sport to understand what makes him so much better.
Well, okay, so you have to look at, think of it this way. There is a line, right? So when you have a racetrack, there is one way to drive around that racetrack that is the fastest way to drive around that racetrack, right? And every single one of these drivers knows that line. And so what they're essentially trying to do is play in a sense of as close to that line as possible. But like that jockeying that happens where like, especially turn 1 is always crazy, where there's 20 cars and they're all right next to each other and they're all trying to find the most efficient line. Sometimes someone goes like super wide out to avoid the group and like try and cut ahead of them. And so there's like this game of geometry that happens when you force someone off the line that they're all trying to follow. Because when they start spreading out, you see it much more obviously that like, oh, everyone's basically driving the same. It's the same. Exactly. They approach the corners the same way. They approach all the straightaways the same way. But when they're jockeying around these different corners, you can choose, all right, if this person's really close to me, you can choose, all right, I'm going to enter the corner a little bit slower so that I can accelerate faster out of the back end, or I'm going to enter it way faster and I'm going to be slower getting out of it, but I'm going to get ahead of them as I enter it faster than they do. And so there's this like really interesting geometry problems that happen at 200 miles an hour. And it's like milliseconds of shifting up and down or brakes that you have to, that decide who gets to get that position or also how ballsy you are, right? If you're willing to like cut across somebody and like have a little bit of contact and just hope that everything's going to be okay, like you could have a little advantage there.
Well, and that's the beauty, and that's what makes the stakes so high, is that it's a millisecond of, do I have the balls to do this, to pass this guy, or if I do it wrong, I'm out of the race. It's, again, it's not just like, oh, we gave up a touchdown and we get the ball back. It's like you're done for the fucking day, because there's not a lot of fucking wiggle room. There's just literally, like, they touch sometimes and don't, or just the tire goes flat. But if they're not right by the box or the whatever, it's so insane to watch. The only time that makes sense is like when they say like, oh, you're about to get lapped, you should get over. That makes sense. But otherwise, sometimes even teammates are now fucking with each other, even though it could cost one or both of you the entire race.
That happens. Is that in season 2 that happens where
I feel like it happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they highlight one very specific one in season 2, I think, where they tell them, hey guys, this is the order you're going to finish in, stop jockeying. And instead they just crash into each other and both of them get out of the race. And that's like on the last lap. And they were going to be at like both of them at like 4th and 5th or on the podium or something.
Right. But it happens. Remember early in the season, what's his name say? Because then a reporter makes a joke about it later, or not a reporter, a fan. And I also think they do that really well. They do a lot of, it seems like in every market, they do a lot of fan interaction, either with their own fans or with like a publicity event. And they, like, you see the drivers being run around doing it. I think about wrestling the same way. Like they seem to do a very good job, right? Signing autographs, like earning their money for the fans, not just being rich assholes. It is funny though, because I was watching it. Stacy was kind of coming in and out of it, and she was like, so all these guys are really good looking. I mean, yeah. They all are. And again, then you get to the world champion, who's this like gorgeous, I don't know if he's mixed or if he's biracial, but just this gorgeous light-skinned black guy. And you're like, oh my God, you are a fucking model. If you weren't an F1 driver, you would be a swimsuit model, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like every single one of them are like the Ronaldo of their own sport.
Exactly. And the other thing that's amazing is that, like, not only is it a rich man's sport, but like you can't start it as a kid for free like you would for soccer.
No, like you have to be hyper wealthy or just willing to spend all your money on nothing but this race.
Or these little baby cars, like every single one of them, it shows them when they were 9, right? A lot of times racing against each other. And again, you're traveling the world or all across the country and you're fixing this little fucking car that you've made, I guess. Or, I mean, it's like somehow them being completely elite doesn't offend me in the way it does most rich people. But again, I think it's because like, and they just don't force any of the drama. So many of these shows, they just force the drama, or like you can tell they said, hey, why don't you guys talk about this subject now? Which is like, you know, like they do in the fucking Bachelor or any of these other shows. And these guys, like, it's real drama and it's real. But anyway, so the phrase the guy said was like, we're supposed to look like rock stars and we look like fucking idiots, or whatever the French guy says.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Right. Me too. He's second favorite right after Christian Hornery. He's the second favorite guy. So who is your favorite driver?
I don't know. Oh, that's a really tough question. I mean, they're all so weird and interesting in their own rights. Like, you know, who's that one guy who's super, they did like this blooper reel with him at the end of the second season where he's like really quiet, but he answers questions in like the most dry, sarcastic bullshit way. And I fucking love that guy. He's Northern European of some descent. I forget what his name is. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite driver. Like Ricardo was my favorite during the first season. And then, you know, Leclerc is my favorite during the second season. And it's just, I just like watching these guys and how ridiculous they are. Like my brothers are both really into F1. Like they watch the races. We have some other family and friends that are like super into it. They all watch the races together. You know, they all love Verstappen. You know, it's like, I don't know. What about you? Are you going to say Lewis Hamilton's your favorite driver?
No, Max all the way. Max all the way. I mean, he's just because he is such a fucking animal. And again, like, you know, we're like, they'll be like, Max, we're going to want you to overtake this guy. Okay, I got it. Right?
You're muted. I can't hear you anymore.
Fuck.
What did you do to your microphone? You're playing too hard with your mic.
Hello?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, they just like they tell him to pass and he's like, got it. And then he just fucking goes for it. There's some sort of like they talk about they can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just want to look up all the racers so I can tell you some different names.
Okay, they know your time and the people ahead of you and behind you's time. Like you're going faster than this guy in front of you, please pass him, and you do. But there's a phrase they use that's like a thing, like you're in the purple or something. There's like some zone, I think. I feel like it's like they press A and go up and then they pass them. You know what I mean? There's some phrase.
Yeah. So that is that has to do with the spoiler. Right. So they have specific areas on the racetrack where they're allowed to use this like spoiler that's on every car that activates and gives them more downforce so they can go faster.
Oh.
That's what that is.
Okay.
That's what that is. Did you know, by the way, like going into I don't know exactly what they're going to do with this season, but this season at the end of this season of Formula One, not only are they cutting, so like all the budgets are going to be equalized, but also every driver's contract is up for renewal.
Right.
Every driver.
Well, but that's the thing is that I don't know enough about the history of the sport, but you know, one episode is actually called Musical Chairs, and like, do they move that much? Like, there's only 20 of them, and they're constantly moving, and it's like, you know, in the era of the NBA where that's like a thing now, you just kind of go wherever you can win a championship. It still seems less likely. Like if you're Lewis, right? And you're the greatest guy in the world on the best team. Like, why would you ever leave Mercedes, basically, right?
Because
Mercedes
Ferrari will pay him more.
What's that?
Because Ferrari will pay him more.
Yeah, but I don't know. I meant to Google it, what like even the lowest paid guy gets, but it's not like they're, and I assume there's also bonuses with winning and with podium. And that's the other reason that's so great is that their crews, which are kind of like the blue collar guys, like they're just as happy and sad when the shit goes wrong. Like they're so invested, like they're all sitting there with little helmets on and then they come in and they fucking go for it. And then when they win or lose, they're so excited. And it really does feel like when the head coach says, you know, it's really an organizational win. It's everybody in the office. And you think, oh, shut the fuck up. It's because you have Tom Brady, right? But these guys, you kind of feel it. You do feel this whole like team presence, right? Mercedes has 800 fucking people, right?
Right, because every single one of them has a hand in making that machine work.
Right.
Right. It's like it's not like, you know, it's like on a football team, there's people who never see the field. And it's like, what do they actually bring to the team? Right. On an F1 team, every single one of those engineers has a hand in making that car better. Right. Like whether they're making it more aerodynamic or slightly slow, they discovered a new way of making screws that is like, you know, saves a kilo over the course of the entire body or whatever. Like, I don't fucking know. But like each and every one of them has a direct hand in making those cars work better. And it's really, really fascinating because it's like you do actually have a giant group of people doing one singular task all together. How do we get this car around this track 50 times as fast as we can?
Yeah, I think if you ask me, Matt, I'm going to give you $10 million and you can do whatever you want. I would say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn ORM over to somebody else, and I'm going to take an internship. Any of the teams, the bottom team, P20 or P10, whatever. Williams, put me on fucking Williams, and I'll intern as a tire change guy or wherever you want, and like work my way up. I want to be in an F1 team. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Armen.
Cool. I mean, listen, the being an intern on the pit crew is not going to happen.
Why not?
That's like the hardest job. Other than like the racer, the pit crew is like the most important.
But the guy who blew putting the tire on, come on, he didn't look like he was that. Come on, I think I can get that job.
All right. Go for it. I
Like I
think
start off,
at the races, you should come to Austin because at the races they have a faux pit crew, and
to
you
see
can
how quick you can do it.
you can see how quick you can do it compared to those guys.
Well, first of all, I'd have to start in F2, maybe. I realize that. There's also an
I think
electric version now. Do you know there's an electric version?
Yeah. You'd have to start as the pit crew for the 9-year-olds, dude.
Okay, fine. Wherever it is, that's what I want to do. If you gave me unlimited funds, and I had enough money to feed my family, I would go and try to be somewhere F1
Dude,
related.
are you kidding me? Unlimited funds, enough money to feed your family. You'd want to be an intern on an F1 team. Why don't you just go and spectate the F1?
No, I would actually want to become one of the media guys, because I thought about that. I go, wouldn't that be amazing to be media? Oh, I'd have to fly to every country in the world. I can't afford to do that.
And they have the best, the broadcasters have like the best broadcasting voice. It's a sunny morning here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. Da, 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 like fucking flags come in.
No, I don't want to be. I'll be one of the guys, one of the talking heads. You know, the guys that are always interviewing them, right?
Yeah. You're gonna walk up to Lewis Hamilton and be like, Hamilton, your turn 4 was really sloppy. Is there anything that you want to kind of improve going into the next race?
Exactly.
Go fuck myself. Got it. Thank you.
Lewis, you're gorgeous. How hard is it to wake up every day and be that fucking good looking? But here's the other thing I pointed out. Okay. Armen.
I'm listening.
Lewis Hamilton, greatest, one of the best of all time, clearly. Dominating in the sport.
Dominating.
Big fucking neck tattoo. Do you remember when the neck tattoo was a no-no?
I do remember when neck tattoos were
the best F1 driver in the world has a neck tattoo. Many NBA players, the young rappers that my son enjoys, have fucking face tattoos.
Yeah, so I think there's a big difference between, Lil Weezy or whatever the fuck those guys. Weezy's actually really good. Lil Wayne's pretty good. Like, Lil Wayne has a bunch of face tattoos. This is a perfect example. There's like Lewis Hamilton and Lil Wayne, right? They've got neck and face tattoos, and they have so much fucking money and their careers are already set. It doesn't goddamn matter. And then there's like some white kid from Ohio who goes by, Little Crump, and he gets face tattoos, and it's like, oh, you just committed yourself to either A, being the most famous rapper in the world, or way more likely than that, B, being a goddamn loser for the rest of your life.
Armen, I'm telling you, Google top 5, not right now, Google top 5 rappers, and I'm telling you, they all fucking have it. I'm just saying the tattoo has made its way from the arm and the back and the foot to just neck, face. And it's just an amazing world we live in. That's all I'm saying.
A commitment to nihilism is what it is. Nothing matters. Matt B. Davis. Not even the fact that I can permanently scar my face.
Armen, your hair is on fire. We're going to need you to box this next lap, please. Armen, your mullet is actually made of rubber, and it's falling off. We're going to need you to come into the pits, please.
You're making me want to go watch Drive to Survive again.
It's just fucking kudos, man. Kudos to those fucking guys for making a show. Like, I could not wait. Like, when I first messaged you, I was like, well, I'm a kind of want to wait till I finish. I don't know. And then I just finished the show in 2 days. Like, I just couldn't. Every spare moment I had.
That is my experience with it as well. Yeah. I've only watched. Let's put it this way. There are 2 seasons of Drive to Survive. I have watched this show for a grand total of 3 days. I watched the entire first season over the course of 1 day. I watched the entire second season over the course of 2 days.
Let's check in on this season, okay? Let's go.
This season on Drive to Survive.
Formula 1. Because there is a season, like it stopped, but then they did do one. They had their first race back.
Yeah, they have a truncated season going on.
So Lewis Hamilton won the race that just happened August 2nd.
Shocker.
Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. Charles Leclerc. Oh, your buddy Ricardo got a 4th.
Hell yeah. Good job. P4 finish for Ricardo.
Who's Norris?
Lando Norris.
Esteban. Good old Esteban's back, right?
Oh, good. Good for him. That was my boy.
Right.
That was my guy. I was like, I
What
don't know
about
who you are, but I'm so sad that you're going to get cut right now.
right? What about Nico Hülkenberg?
Hülkenberg. Yeah, yeah.
You know, he was like, "Fuck Daniel,"
For sure.
right?
For sure. Yeah. He's like, why are you coming onto my team, Daniel? What the fuck are you doing? And
Okay.
Daniel's like, hey, remember when you were the A driver? I'm the A driver now.
Do
I'm the A
you
driver now, mate.
do you do you oh poor Grosjean, still way down here. Do you in the
By
Haas?
the
Oh, he
way,
passed up both cars from the Haas team.
I don't know what you're showing me, but right now all I can see is your Instagram.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You don't see this?
No, all I'm looking at is Instagram. So whatever screen share you're showing me right now is just Instagram.
Okay, I'm gonna
Go
switch.
conditioning. Go condition.
What about now?
Oh, there you go. Okay. Now I can see what you're showing me.
Okay. Hülkenberg. So that was just last
Oh,
week.
there's a new driver. Who's the Italian guy?
Where? Which way we just go? Giovazzani?
Yeah.
Ooh, number 99, the Gretzky.
Interesting.
Oh, and look how handsome
my
and Italian he is.
Come on. Get out of here. Get out of here, Antonio.
It's like if you went to Central Casting and said, "Can you find me a driver for Alfa Romeo that perhaps is a handsome Italian man?"
What a fucking joke. Get out of here, dude. Jesus Christ.
I like the 99 choice, right? Strong. All right,
That's
so we just raced at Silverstone.
Yep.
So here's a question though for you, real talk. So the Williams family, which I have seen that documentary. There's one on Williams. Have you seen that one?
I have not.
So I think it's called just Williams, and it's about the dad. It's about the older guy and how he's really great, but like a lot of guys who become the best in the sport, might not be the best parents, and how she grows to take it over and whatever. But it's always fascinating when a dynasty ends and then you're the fucking bottom, right? And you're like, well, what actually happened? Because especially in this sport, it's not just offensive schemes and coaches. Like I keep using football because I understand that sport. It's you build your own engine and it's working. And so then all of a sudden you just really suck at it.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I think the thing is, I don't know enough about that story to tell whether she was treated fairly or not by the documentary, because the documentary made her seem so fucking incompetent, like just wildly incompetent. And
Well, she fired the guy that sucked. I thought that was smart.
I mean, yeah, but that's the barest level of competence that you can have. Fire the guy that sucks.
Okay, what should she have done better? What should she have done differently?
I just felt like that's the thing. I don't know if it was a fair representation of her or not. It was like they obviously spend the least amount of money out of every team, and that makes a really big difference because their engineers aren't as good as every other team. So the types of like decision making they have for how the cars come together and whatever different sort of like aerodynamic decisions they have to make and all this different stuff, like they just don't do that as well as all the other teams. But I felt like, just remembering off of the time that I watched it in March, I felt like she was represented as being really incompetent, like just making bad decision after bad decision. And I don't know if that's fair or not, because I don't know enough about, what she actually did.
Yeah, that wasn't I was left with, trying to keep the legacy alive of something that clearly has like lost its way. And the fact that she questioned it, I think, is what makes her likable. She's like, should I keep doing this? Am I the best person for this? Like, she wasn't just like an ass about it, right? Which I think a lot of people are. You know what I mean? What was I going to say? I feel like I was going to ask you something else. Oh yeah, I wanted to go. Let's look up this. Let's go back to the season. So,
I don't know how many races how much they cut it short, but I know Austin isn't happening, obviously.
Hang on. Watch an annoyed Kimi Räikkönen berate Alfa Romeo over free practice mayhem. Oh, well, let's watch that. I gotta make. Wait, oh, it's unavailable. Motherfucker. Hang on. Oh, here we go. I gotta make sure you can hear though, because that's a thing. when you go to share screen.
You got to make sure that audio button is clicked.
Okay. Can you hear it now?
I can see it.
Ei täällä kyllä pääse yhtään minnekään. Toivotaan nyt,
Can you hear that?
luotto alkaa löytyä.
Yeah.
Katsotaan mitä Kimille.
If we cannot get our own car out of the way in the last curve.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Was stupidity.
Kimi sanoi siinä.
Stupidity. Fucking stupidity. That's what he said.
Oh, so
Oh.
good.
That wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, though. Oh, there's your buddy.
Oh man, come on,
Gianna
Italian.
Vanizzi. Gianna Vanazzi.
You can't be getting fucking warnings for dangerous driving.
Let's watch this. You and I have a new program called We Watch Stuff on YouTube Together.
And almost all the information can be passed to drivers via the radio or the
Why don't
screen
you
on the
pit
steering wheel. However, teams are still using the signs that are held above the track from the pit wall. But why is this? Well, we'll explain this in the new fact checker.
This isn't about the
It all
Italian
looks a
guy.
bit old
I know, but I was learning something. Fuck you.
Want to know about the Italian guy?
Where the fuck is it?
It looks like it's just a written article.
Oh, who wants to read these?
Boo.
Who? Okay, so let's go to the season. What is the next race?
I have no clue. Google it.
Google it, bitch.
Calendar and results. Okay, GP fans, you got me. You can click at the top. It says go to the next race. But there you go. Barcelona.
That's wait a minute.
Anya.
We're back at Silverstone again? That doesn't make any sense. It says August 2nd. Why would we be back there again on August 9th?
Oh, maybe they probably just cut it short because they had to remove some of the races, right? So they'd repeat a couple of them.
Oh.
Today's the 6th.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I hadn't even thought of that.
Damn,
You're
dude,
kind of
that's
a-
crazy.
You're kind of a genius.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
So we're going to get another shot at Great Britain.
Yeah, they're staying in Europe for a long time. It looks like. Keep going
Right.
down. Do they ever make it out? Are they
doesn't
going
look
to
like they
Singapore?
do. Doesn't look like they
Yeah.
do. Yeah, they canceled America.
Yeah, so they're just going back and forth between the European nations, which is fine. I mean, it's still going to be great races.
Okay, so where can I view? That's my question.
How can you watch the race?
Yes.
I think they have their own broadcast channel.
I'm going to buy that fucker.
I mean, I think occasionally they show it on ESPN something, like one of the ESPNs, but you'd have to find it, and you can't really quote me on that because I don't really know. But look at the races that they usually do. Hold on, go back. Look at that bottom. They have the races of like all around the world: Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam, China, the Dutch
Azerbaijan.
yeah, Monaco, fucking Azerbaijan, Canada, France, Austria, Hungary, Great Britain, Spain, Belgium, Italy, the other Italy. Really crushing it, dude.
I was just seeing how long we had talked. If this was enough for an episode. Apparently it is.
Well, you're welcome.
Drive to Survive, Netflix. Available now, streaming on Netflix. I love that, like when they curse at the camera guys. Netflix, a bunch of cunts, aren't they?
Yeah, the Ricardo says that.
But then at the end, they show some guy at the end of season 2, and they're like, "Did they even talk to you?" He's like, "Fuck them, bunch of cunts."
Yeah, dude. I love Drive to Survive. I love good sports media. I enjoy the sport very much. Maybe I'll get a chance to watch some
So it
races. I
didn't
don't-
occur to you when you went last year that like you could get in the fucking media thing and talk to some drivers? That doesn't occur.
Why
to
would
you?
I want to do that?
Because you can.
Yeah, that didn't really do it for me.
Oh,
That did not. So we went. It was my wife's birthday that weekend. So we went. My brother and his wife came, and one of our friends came with us, and it was just like a cool little family thing. We went out there, had a good time, bought some hats. I bought a Lewis Hamilton hat.
did you wear shirts and like, yay?
No shirts allowed.
Okay. I meant like like you were all rooting for the same guy or something.
Yeah, we were all rooting for Hamilton.
Okay.
It was the race that he won the championship the drivers championship last
Oh,
year.
shoot. My computer's about to go to sleep. Hang on.
Don't go to sleep, computer. Wake up, computer.
Has anything happened in your sport? Have you put out any episodes lately?
No, I've been focusing on the Sneaky Fit Summer Series, but
Oh, that's right. We'll plug that, bro. Go ahead and plug it.
well, it's over.
What?
Yeah. I told you it was a 2-week lead time.
I meant to plug you more. I think I plugged it at least once, but I meant to plug it more.
I appreciate that.
Who won?
Wow. Are you okay? Are you all right there, buddy? Did you just break all your stuff? That microphone is going through some things this episode.
Took me years to accumulate all this fucking equipment, and now I'm just breaking it all.
Yeah, the winner in the performance division was a team out of Argentina. It was the Argentinian national champion, actually, and one of his buddies. And then the winner out of the scale division, the one that made me laugh the most, was a team name that was why do lot exercise when few exercise do trick? And it's an Office reference, and I fucking loved it. It really killed me.
How much money did the winning teams win?
I gave out $2,000 cash.
What percentage of the income was that?
What percentage of the income was
Like how many people signed up?
It was approximately 250% of the income.
So you spent more than you made.
A lot more.
Armen, I'm gonna just throw this out there.
Yeah. I'm all ears.
You're doing it wrong.
What do you mean?
I mean, I guess if your goal is to bring the community together during these tough times and also lose a lot of money, then you did great.
I think I crushed it. I think I really nailed both of those goals.
So when I did my thing, I was like, oh, I'll give away percentage based on who signs up, right? Yeah. And I gave away 1,000 to the winning man and woman, and at the end of it, I was like, that's a lot, right?
That's a lot of money.
Right? If I grossed, let's say 10, right? And I gave away 2 of it. That's a lot. I was like, I'm not doing this again because it didn't attract the names I thought it would. I thought it would bring in more names, and since it didn't, the next time I'm like, okay, I'm doing 5% of the total divided against, top men and women. And so it was, 3, 2, 1 for the men and women. And then the third time I just didn't even I basically never got around to announcing it. And so I was like, well, nobody seems to care. So, and I made the least money the third time anyway. But anyway, the point was, did you think it was going to be, I thought you were going to do a percentage deal.
No.
Okay.
Just the answer to both those, whatever questions you're asking, the answer is no.
Okay. Well, I want to see you succeed, Armen, and I am a fan. Would you do it again?
Yeah.
Would you give away less money maybe? Because 250 signups is a lot.
I didn't get 250 signups.
You just said you did.
No, I didn't. I never said that.
What did you say? What did you say?
I did not say that. We got 26 teams.
Okay. Well, then you did it wrong. You need my help, Dart. We need to talk more, Armen.
Yeah. Look at me doing it wrong. Spending a lot of money, bringing about 50 people together. I crushed it.
How you had how many weeks did
How is that possible? Are you asking me how is that possible? How is it possible that I have 30,000 subscribers on YouTube and 30,000 followers on Instagram and 50 people signed up for this event?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that question is.
How much lead time did you give them?
2 weeks.
Okay. I'd say that was part of the problem, but I think 3 to 4 is kind of perfect. So it's not really that bad, I guess. Because, Hunter's trying to do some massive fucking thing. Like Hunter thinks he's going to pull off some massive fucking thing.
Yes, I do know that.
Do you think he will pull off some massive fucking thing?
I don't know if enough details to make a call on that. I won't bet against him, though.
All right. Well, do it again. Don't give away as much money and try 4 weeks and see what happens.
I love it.
I'm not being a jerk. I'm being serious.
No, I agree. You're not being a jerk and you are being serious.
Did you watch the High Rocks finals?
No. How was it? I saw you post about it, but I didn't watch it.
You're so selfish.
Well, I don't know anybody that's competing in it. Why the fuck would I watch that?
Because there's not a lot going on, and it's tangentially functional fitness, and you want to see like, oh, are the athletes decent? Is the broadcast decent?
Okay.
No.
Matt,
Yes.
were the athletes decent?
From your perspective, it doesn't matter what I think.
What do you think?
I think they did a great job. They had me help a little bit. I didn't do much. I gave a little bit of insight. I didn't do much, so it's not like. But no, I think considering like they don't have the money of a Rogue, and I think they did a nice job with what they had.
So the broadcast was good?
Yeah, they gave everybody. Here's what's super interesting. They said, who's your cameraman that we can be like, on the phone with, and who's your judge, right? 4 men, 4 women, money for top 3 of each. And the thing about the judge is that it's probably a friend of yours, right? So it's probably pretty hard to get no repped, you know what I mean? Which I think is bad. Like if you're like, as we discussed with these Murph things, you should probably get no repped at least once if someone's doing their fucking job, right?
Correct.
The only one guy got no repped, and it was basically the difference between first and second. Like towards the end, his friend was like, nope. Like, you're not getting deep enough on these fucking wall balls, bro. And he was really pissed about it. But I think his friend did a good job. But they were neck and. Do you want to know what the final workout was? Would that even interest you at all?
Yeah. What do you mean the final workout? Isn't it all just one workout that they do?
No, there were 4 workouts along the way, one each week. Okay.
Okay.
With scoring, right?
Yeah.
And people submitted, and even in fucking age group, they were watching. Like, I was very impressed because,
I thought the whole thing about High Rocks was it was like that 1 hour long competition.
The High Rocks is the running and the working out.
Yeah.
But it's virtual. So they did 4 different workouts. One of the workouts I think had running. The other ones didn't. The other ones were just WODs, right? Because what else are you going to do? You can't just follow someone with a fucking GoPro running, right?
Okay.
I don't know why you're making that face.
Because now it just seems like CrossFit light.
Kind of. But again, what are you going to fucking do? We're in weird times, dude. I mean, yeah, it's functional. Everything's CrossFit light. Everything that's not CrossFit is CrossFit light. What are you going to fucking do?
I mean, I don't mean that in the sense of like everything that isn't CrossFit is CrossFit light. I mean that in the sense of like you're doing an online competition that takes place over 4 or 5 weeks that does workouts that probably don't involve heavy barbells, but it like completely moves away from the original test of what High Rocks was. Like the interesting thing to me about High Rocks was that it was like the one really long, really big thing.
Right. Well, we can look at the workouts in a minute. The point is, they actually, for virtual stuff, they did a good job because even in age group, like people were getting, like there was a guy who's like first in age group, and then he got fucking like 30 no repped on his last thing, and then he submitted another one, and it's like fucking good. Like
show me the workouts. Show me the workouts. I'm curious now.
All right. Well, now we're on to part 2.
Of
the episode. The High Rocks Virtual Championships of Fitness. All righty. Do you see what I'm seeing?
I do see what you're saying.
Oh, that's the regular High Rocks. Fuck. Viola Oberlander. Elizabeth Corti. Very German, the High Rocks people. Hang on.
I mean, it started in Germany, didn't it?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Leaderboard. Got it. All right. Equipment workout number 1. Well, it took them 30 minutes. Okay, some of this. Can you tell me what we're looking at?
If you turn it down, just mute it. God damn it. Ugh.
Okay, tell me what we're looking at.
Watching people lunge. This dude's lunging with very light dumbbells in his hands.
Now what is he doing?
Now he's doing squats. No, he's doing thrusters with those same dumbbells.
Okay.
And then he's getting onto what looks like a treadmill of some sort. Why don't they just write the workout down?
I just thought you'd want to watch for a second, but let's just find the fucking workouts.
Equipment workouts?
Yeah, there was a bodyweight division which nobody cares about.
Obviously.
All right.
All right. Hold on a second. Let's
I'm
see
going to
what.
start with workout number 1.
Oh, they did it in reverse order?
No, they didn't do it in reverse order. I'm scrolling, you fucking
Yeah,
idiot.
that's what I'm saying. It's at the bottom. Workout number 1 is at the bottom.
Okay, so what's number 1, Dario? I mean, whatever your name is.
Dude, that's not even the full workout.
Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Okay.
So the workout number 1 is a 30-minute AMRAP of 400-meter run, 10 meters of burpee broad jumps, 10 meters of dumbbell walking lunges, 10 dumbbell thrusters. And every round you add 5 meters to the broad jumps and lunges, and you add 5 reps to the thrusters.
Okay.
And the score is the total reps.
Okay.
Let's see workout number 2. Workout number 2. 3 rounds of 20 dumbbell lunges, 15 wall ball, 10 dumbbell burpee deadlifts, 50 calorie row, 2 rounds of 20 dumbbell lunges, 15 wall ball, 10 dumbbell burpee deadlifts, 50 calorie row, and then 1 round of 20 dumbbell lunges, 15 wall ball, 10 dumbbell burpee deadlifts. Wow. Okay. Number 3, 800-meter run.
Do you think these things are too easy? Is that what you're saying?
Do I think they're too easy?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say they're too easy, because if you go really hard on any of these, it's going to hurt. But like, it's all the same shit. It's all just dumbbell lunges and dumbbell thrusters. This one is running, dumbbell thrusters, and hand release push-ups. Okay, what's workout 4? 5K row for time every 90 seconds. Perform 5 burpees over the rower. And then what's the last workout? 800-meter run with a med ball, and then 2 rounds of 20 med ball ground to overhead, 20 dumbbell lunges, 400-meter run with a med ball, then 2 rounds of 20 devil's press, 20 dumbbell thrusters, and then an 800-meter run with a med ball.
All right, then you want to know what the big final was? You're asking me what
Okay.
the final was like.
Yeah.
Why don't we look at their little production just because I'm curious what your thought is, dude.
I'm really not impressed with the workouts, but that's the thing, is like, I don't understand what's the point. Like, why stop at 5 or 6 workouts when they're all exactly the same workouts, basically? Like, why not just do 100 of these or do 3 of them?
Because you're trying to do something around the world with gazillions of people and make it as simple as possible, but not too easy. I mean, I don't know. Because 5 is like 5 weeks, right? Across the 5 weeks, we're going to find who the best is, right? And again,
how many people participated in this thing?
Let's go back to the leaderboard and see. And I think, again, that's what I think they did well, is that because everybody could see the workouts, like you see where they posted the actual videos of the people, like people got called out and they found the people who were the decentest at it. Leaderboard.
It just seems like, I mean, like every workout basically had the same light dumbbells and the same movements.
Well, there's a lot of ties, so it's hard to tell what the total number is. Oh, no, because you skip a number. That's right. Okay, so this will be legit. God.
So it's 300 people.
Well, more than 300, because we get to the 300 and there's a tie. That's weird. Why isn't it higher?
Those are all the people who didn't submit scores.
Okay, so 299 then. Right?
Sure.
And then it's more than you got.
It is more than I got.
And then the finals, I think they won 3,000 American.
Is this cool?
I'm asking you. This is why I'm kind of curious about your own. That's why I'm curious to your thoughts.
All right, show me the live stream.
I think we should watch an ASMR guy first.
No, stop. No, stop. No, stop. No, stop. No, stop. Stop. Oh my God. What the hell is that?
That's ASMR.
That was awful.
Do you know that my son goes to sleep to that?
To that guy doing that?
Different stuff. Whispering different languages.
Okay. Anyway, grand final.
A little
okay,
bit. What were your
final.
thoughts on the tactics?
So my strategy for this was.
So is that too loud for you? So
No,
this is this girl E that I asked you about. She made
Yes.
the games one year. She won. She seemed to have, it looks like, the best strategy, but it also, paid off. So let's just.
I can tell you what her strategy was. I've never seen her do this workout before. Her strategy was be better than everybody else at fitness. And then when this is just a relatively simple and easy test of fitness, she just crushes everybody. What was her margin of victory?
Not that much.
Okay. She was barely middle of the pack at the CrossFit Games.
But that's better than okay. So let's go back to something. Okay. You and I know that the difference between middle of the pack of the games and the top of the games is massive, but
Yes.
middle of the games at the CrossFit Games versus everyone else is still pretty fucking amazing. We agree on that. Yes.
Yes.
So when this guy that worked out with Hunter posted that he was, 1500th in the world, you were like, he's still better than most people you know. And I'm like, fuck off. Like, that guy, it doesn't matter. The point is, no other sport other than OCR do people brag like that. Well, I'm 1500th.
I mean, it's like tennis rankings. There's like worldwide tennis rankings, right?
Right.
And then you could be like 280th in the world in tennis.
But you should never brag about it, ever.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that's kind of a lame thing to brag about. But
when
that's
I
not,
called him
that's
out
not my
on it,
point.
you were like, he's still better than most people you know. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Maybe I'm just being a super contrarian. No matter what you say, I'm disagreeing with you. But I don't remember.
It sounds that way.
I don't remember the exact situation that you're
But
describing.
I really like this gal. I interviewed this gal.
E?
Yeah.
Yeah, E's awesome.
You didn't say. Why didn't you tell me that?
What did I say? I told you what you asked. I answered your question. You asked me, what do I know about E? And I asked you, what are you asking me right now? I don't understand what you're asking me. Do you want her stats? Do you want like her story? What do you want? And I told you what I know about her.
Do we know this person? That's my message to you. Answer.
Okay, what did I say?
Yes. 2018 Games competitor. Any notes? Question mark. What do we know? Matt says. What are you asking? Pretty sure she doesn't compete anymore. She did all right at the games, but nothing outstanding. Not sure what she's up to now. Nowhere in there is she's awesome. I really like her as a person, and I hope she does well or something. None of that.
You didn't ask me those questions. You didn't ask me that. You asked me what I know about her.
Armen, we're living in a texting world. If you asked me, what do I know about this obstacle racer? I would tell you everything I know personally and professionally.
Anyway, my point is those workouts look kind of lame. The broadcast looked okay.
You want to hear what I did? I made a joke about this guy's hair right away, and he didn't go for it. Can you believe that?
I can believe that.
But, like, why wouldn't he?
Because he takes himself way too seriously. I don't know who it is you're talking about, and I don't know what your joke was, but I think that's the answer.
Can you hear this?
No.
Now? Can you hear it
No.
now?
No. Nope.
You're lying.
No, I really can't hear anything.
How can you not hear it?
Nothing is coming through my headphones, bud.
Did you hear that?
No.
Are you being serious?
I am being very serious right now. I don't hear it. And no, neither does anybody else. Oh, are we going to watch you talk to these people? Hell yeah. Give it to me.
We
He's
have
like,
an expert, and I want to introduce you to Matt B. Davis. We want to get Matt on the show now. Matt, there he
Do you hear that?
yeah, I can hear it. Show it to me.
is.
Hello.
I'm so excited.
Welcome.
Hello and welcome, Matt, the founder of Obstacle Racing Media. I've been a couple of times on his podcast. He's doing a lot of podcasting and knows everything. I can say that very confidently. He knows everything about obstacle racing, about racing and in total. He did all the races. He competed in the High Rocks competition. He competed in everything that is out there. So, Matt, we're very happy to have you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It is really great to be a part of this. We literally are doing a worldwide event, and we talked about the kind of amazing performances people are having during quarantine. But can we discuss the greatest hair during COVID times? Clearly belongs to Flo. He clearly has the most amazing hair I've seen in COVID-19 times.
Thank you so much. We had to meet at 10 a.m. this morning because he needed that much time to prepare himself.
How it goes.
Yeah, he didn't play ball with that.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe he thought you were being facetious. Maybe he thought you were being hurtful.
Like we're you know what I mean? Like that's why you bring me on. You guys are going to be serious about this competition. By the way, his German accent gets me very excited. Matt B. Davis from Obstacle Racing Media. He is an expert. He knows everything. Now, I don't know what accent I'm doing now.
That's a terrible German accent.
I don't know what that was. Listen, I'm tired of talking to you. We went from great to not great in like 5 seconds.
It's not my fault that the High Rocks Virtual World Championships went away from what made High Rocks so exciting to begin with. In my opinion, not my fault. Like, why wouldn't you make the final High Rocks event like the long hour-long thing? Like, why wouldn't you do that? If you have them competing for like 4 weeks and like finally whittle it down to like the final qualifiers, why not have them do? It's not like it requires any more or different equipment. You just have them row instead of run. I don't know, dude. What are you screen sharing? I can't see anything. It's all black.
How about now?
Still nothing.
Are you kidding me? What is wrong with this fucking shit? I can't tell if you're fucking with me or not.
I'm not fucking with you, dude. It's a black screen. It said Mappy Davis has started sharing a screen, and then it's nothing. It's just the void staring off into absolute emptiness.
How about this? What do you see now?
Now I see Mappy Davis airdropping to Mappy Davis. Why do you find that so funny? This is
because it gave me an option to share something, and I shared that. I'm gonna find it.
Matt,
Hang on.
okay, how about this? I'm trying to figure out like how do I explain my feelings about this so that it's not just Armen being a naysaying contrarian.
Correct.
What if, fuck, I don't know anything about Spartan, but let's say like someone came up with Trojans, and it's like a competition, and it's like Spartan, but the distances are shorter, and instead of running, instead of like going do they go underwater in Spartan? Okay, instead of going underwater, it's like you have to just like doggy paddle across water, and instead of like,
I would say that's a shitty version of Spartan.
do you not see the comparison I'm making here? Like High Rocks had a unique idea. It's like, this is long.
But how do you do it in virtual? I mean, this workout took a half an hour. Is that long?
I ran a 1 hour long partner competition on my own on a clock with people all around the fucking world. And oh God, are you okay? Don't die. Don't die, Mappy Davis. Don't die, Mappy Davis. Live! Are you alive?
Yes.
Okay. And I have zero budget. In fact, I have negative budget. I spent all my money instead of making money. You're telling me that they couldn't figure out a way to run an hour long or 90-minute long competition? It makes no sense.
Men and women. I think that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. The way that I wrote my workouts, it had nothing to do with whether you're male or female. You just start on the clock. Everyone runs at the same time.
They wanted
zero logistical issues.
But they wanted to do I'm saying they wanted to do a separate men's and women's competition.
Great. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't need any new equipment or different equipment. All I'm saying is like, listen,
they
if you're
should have made
it
an hour. You're saying they should have made it an hour.
I'm saying at the very least, the final event, the High Rocks Virtual Championships of Fitness or whatever the fuck they were calling it, the final event should be like super fucking High Rocks instead of another kind of, watered down CrossFit Open workout, which is all these are.
Got it. Can you tell people what we're watching?
We're watching people row.
Oh my God! Look at this. Look at the ads, though. They have German ads. Can you read this German? Can you read this German ad?
Think a bunch of Nika vergessen.
You got it. A little more German. Next time, a little more German.
Okay, sorry. So it's like, okay, all right. E just got off the rower, and now she's doing burpees over the rower
with the things in her hand,
with the dumbbells in her hands. But the rowing, like the erg meters aren't adding up on the side.
They didn't, when it got to the rowing, they would only do it when they like got off, or once in a while they would go in and close up. The other ones are easier to count, right? So that was slightly annoying, but not too bad.
Here's the thing, dude. I don't want what I'm saying to come across as like shitting on these athletes. Hold on. Don't pause. Don't move. I want to see that. I want to see them do these wall balls. Yeah, that's fine. Just start where you're at. Start where you're at. I want to see them do these wall balls. Okay. Those are good reps.
Yeah. No, everybody had, like, I was watching and I would have called it out if it was bullshit. Like I'm not even the expert.
I don't want it to come across like I'm talking poorly about these athletes, because this isn't easy. None of this is easy. It's not, it's like really challenging, high cardio, lots of, muscle endurance. It's going to be rough. Like, this is challenging something and it's testing something. But my point is, all of this is like, it's like watered down version of something that already exists. And to me, it just seems really strange to go in that direction when High Rocks has a unique proposition in and of itself.
So they should have kept it. They should have kept the running involved, you're saying?
It's not about the running. That to me isn't what made High Rocks High Rocks. Like, yeah, in person, the running was really important. To me, what made High Rocks interesting was it was like 10 different little mini workouts, and there was a bunch of cardio in between each of those little mini workouts. So it takes you like forever to do it, but it tests something closer to like a 10K or a half marathon run as opposed to 30 minutes on a rower. You know what I'm saying?
I got you, dude. I got you.
And if they're already seeing, like, if the assumption is everyone's going to have a pair of dumbbells and everyone's going to have a rower and everyone's going to have a medicine ball and everyone's going to have somewhere to do wall ball and everyone's going to have somewhere to measure out meters, well, why the fuck does 3 out of the 5 workouts have dumbbell thrusters and 2 out of the 5 workouts have dumbbell lunges? Why? And 3 out of the 5 have wall ball. It's like that's really that's just like, you can get more creative than that,
I feel you. I definitely feel.
And the way you can the way you can test whether or not what I'm saying is accurate, both in the sense that it's like a diet version of CrossFit, and in the sense that the workouts are too similar. The people who did the best probably did the best across the board, but on average, there probably isn't that big of a delta between people's rankings in each of the workouts, because they're on average very, very similar to one another.
The women were all like 1, 2, 3, 4. The men were kind of more all over the place. The men, it looked more like a CrossFit thing. The men, it was like 13th, 5th. It was more of a jumpy, but yes.
So, it's like, it just, there's a couple different, I have a couple gripes. And the biggest one is that High Rocks has a very unique proposition to begin with.
This is why I bring you on the program, because I want to hear your thoughts on these things. That's why I bring you on.
Well,
and
You're
talk
welcome.
about Formula One Drive to Survive.
You're welcome, Mappy Davis.
Armen Hammer, will you be driving for Toro Rosso next year?
We need you to box. We need you to box. Armin, there's no longer a car around you. You're just a chair dragging yourself down the racetrack. Armin, you need to box.
Okay, I'll come in. It's really jumpy, but I'll try to come in.
And always the
longer.
The driver's side is like way more like.
Right. Okay, here's a question. Here's another question for you. And we'll finish on this. We started on F1. We're going to end on F1 Drive to
A beautiful
Survive.
day in Bahrain.
Baja Raja. How do you say it? Baja? Abazajan. How do you say it?
I believe that place is called Fuckity McFuckfaces. I think is what that place is called.
At the end of the race, they do a little post-race wrap-up with the drivers and the crew. And rather than sitting around a table, they all put the headsets on and then talk through the headsets. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't notice that. I have not noticed that. When do they do that? Because they have press conferences.
No. There's the two drivers.
And
most of the team, and they've all got the headsets on.
The reason why they do that is because the person that they're talking to, like you're talking about like in the post interview or whatever, when they're talking. So the person they're talking to is in the broadcast booth. So they
it's an internal meeting. It's all the team, and they're all sitting across from each other, but wearing the headsets, and they're talking about how the day went.
Oh, maybe it's loud. I don't know. Maybe it's loud in there. I like how you're doing you're doing it yourself, like yourself when you could just be like, or
when 7 of them go by in a row, it's pretty amazing. But it's more like more of a right.
Hey, you know what? I will tell you this. If you have the opportunity in 2021 to be there in person in Austin and any
going,
you have to come because there's like a gut shaking, heart exploding, soul shattering experience the first time you hear these fucking machines go that loud and that fast. It's amazing. I was cheering like an idiot, and I was like, I have no horse in this race, and I was cheering like
sport.
Yeah. Anyway, dude, I have to let my dogs out. Come on, you're not paying me for